Cool. So what made you get started in the NIL space? At that time, was the collective contract, was there standard that they didn't have to pay you?
It wasn't necessarily standard. It wasn't necessarily standard, and really give numbers so you can get paid again. So that's our philosophy: is get paid again. They can't be written as pay for play because they don't want to give these guys employment status. No, I can negotiate what's good for me. Right now, players have no say besides out about negotiation on what this looks like. NBA coach who came from the Sacramento Kings who said, I want to build my career around you. How do you turn that down? When NBA free agency period start, people sign the first day. Normally the guy that drag it don't get paid. Eric Musselman said it out loud a couple years ago. He said, I only can keep 8 players happy. The rest of them just practice for 1 year. And that's really how coaches think.
Now you might be trying to figure out, oh, I need to be like this so I can fit over here.
But what I tell kids when it comes to that is focus on consistency. So you got to know, Brandon, what it is with, I think one hand has to wash the other. And I include your parents too. That's just the reality of it. Being born in DC, if you want to play basketball, is an advantage. Yeah. It's like being born playing football in Florida.
Who you with? Who you with?
Game related.
Stay game related, man.
My man. Stay game related, man. Stay game related, y'all. Stay game related, man.
Stay game related.
My man. Stay game related.
Stay game related, man. The best in the business.
Stay game related. You gotta stay here locked in.
When you make it in life, you always want to give back. Yeah. Same what you doing right now. These kids
have faith, believe in God.
Cool.
Just put that work in.
Stay game related, man.
Stay game related, man. Listen. Game related, for sure.
My man.
Yeah, stay game related, y'all.
So stay game related.
Stay game related.
Stay game related. Game related. Stay game related.
Stay game related. All right, stay game related.
Stay game related. Stay game related.
My man. Stay game related.
Stay game related.
All right. Stay game related, man. Stay game related.
Stay game related.
Stay game related. All right, my man. Stay game related. Stay game related.
Yeah. Stay game related.
My man.
Stay game related.
My man.
Y'all better stay game related.
When the whole world be waiting for you, but if you want some local shit, you won't even know.
Welcome to Game Related, where we highlight opportunities and obstacles from former athletes with the thought process of giving future generations a better understanding about the game.
These conversations are meant to bring awareness to the opportunities and the hardships that come along with the game. Let's get game related.
All right, y'all, we are back with another episode of Game Related. We are taking the guy that's behind the scenes and bringing him to the light today. We got Rick Owens in the building. He's here to talk to us about, is it R&R Advisory Group?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir. He has a book right here as well. We just gonna get into it, man. You know, everybody got a lot of questions about NIL and agencies and things of that nature, man. So we're gonna get into it, man. Welcome to the show.
Appreciate you.
Yes, sir.
Welcome.
All right, man. So, you know, everybody in the area know you, but let's, you know, just in case somebody else is listening, man, just give us a little background. Tell us what you into.
Oh, man, it's anything basketball related I can influence, man, you know, from helping kids get scholarships at college to running leagues, had the Red Cup Hour podcast, bringing back the Capital Classic for 2 years. Now I'm, you know, focused on making sure kids are educated on how this new college basketball landscape works. Not just for the deals they do now, but so they can continually benefit from this opportunity that they have.
Okay. All right, cool. So what made you get started in the NIL space?
So it's interesting. Back in 2021, when this first became a thing and it kind of went through the course, Bruce Shingler called me and was like, Rick was like, man, I think you can really do something in this space. So I was like, let me see what this is about. Because I had helped kids transfer or doing the, you know, when you need a release, I was behind a lot of that. So Bruce was like, Rick, man, I think you can really do this. So I started looking into it, seeing what it was about. And right shortly after, Willard ended up getting Maryland. Mm-hmm. So Jameer Young, Maryland had recruited him and he was trying to get some things done. So I connected with Tony Skinner. He's a good friend of mine. So I kind of was working with Jameer on his first NIL deal, but at the same time, I connected with the guy that started the Merlin's Collective, Harry Geller. Okay. So me and him became good friends, and I was advising him behind the scenes on kind of what the collectives are doing around the country as Merlin was building theirs. I ended up working with them up until last year with the events they was doing to you see them out because in order to get paid, you got to have some work related to it. So I was kind of helping them on that process, doing things like that, and at the same time helping individual players. So I had did a thing. It was called Teen Society at the time. It was me and Jason and Steve, and I was just kind of helping kids with outside deals. But as we kind of get into this settlement stuff, that's kind of going away a little bit for right now. So my nephew Yame Butler, who played at Roosevelt, won the title. I'm going to Drexel, had one more year left. So I helped him with his process, and his teammate reached out to me, Kobe McGee, and his other teammate, Cole Hargrove. All three of them ended up signing high major. Then some other guys started reaching out. So I hit Kareem like, man, we gotta do something with this. And that's where. So R&R is Rick and Reem. You know what I'm saying? Or Rick and Rush, however you want to put that.
I like that. Mm-hmm. So do you have any type of, like, I'm listening to a lot of legal stuff, right? Do you got any type of legal background?
Nah, I don't. So I actually, I learned from I don't know if you guys remember Nate Pete. He was Steve Francis' agent back in the day, right? So that's my cousin.
Okay.
So he was never like a certified agent, but he had a partner. You know what I'm saying? So I kind of went that route. But what I do is I study this stuff in depth. Right, like I'm every lawsuit coming through, I'm paying attention to what's going on in Congress, what Trump trying to do, so that I can break down in the layman's terms what's going on. If I got questions on the legal side, I got lawyers I reach out to. I got a partner in Europe that actually is an attorney that I work with. But for the most part, understanding how this lays out don't require a lawyer, agent. They all call me for advice. You know what I'm saying? It's more about staying up to date and making it applicable to the kids you represent.
Oh, that's cool. That really, it's interesting, right? Because to work in the NBA, they sometimes want you to have this legal background, right? But a lot of times, some of the best guys who can evaluate talent may not have that.
Yeah.
Right? And they kind of shun you for it.
It depends, because what gives you leverage is when the players trust you. So what a lot of times you see is, people call themselves business managers, but they still running the show. The agent work for them. You know what I'm saying? And they understand the need for it because you want people that's proven that they understand the process, how the union work and all that. But the knowledge is the knowledge. You know what I'm saying? The results are the results.
I love that, man. So talk to me about what do you think is one of the legal pitfalls that players or parents go through in this process that they don't understand?
The main thing is understanding like what you're signing. So in the NIL space right now, prior to July 1st, you would sign typically a deal with a collective, right? So a collective is an independent business made of boosters that's raising money to pay players. They work hand in hand with the school, but for whatever, for legal reasons, you can't say it's pay for play, right? So it's your name, image, and likeness. What your contract looked like with them was normally, hey, we're gonna get this amount of money for this amount of XYZ, right? So a lot of times in that red paint is if you don't do certain things, they ain't gotta pay you. Mm-hmm. Or also you see a lot of times we can terminate this deal at any time. You know what I'm saying? So you get to the end of March and they force you in the portal and they ain't gotta finish paying you. And you like, what happened? Nah, that's the way that deal was structured, right? So bringing in revenue share where the school can now officially pay you, they're putting other things in. I was reading about Florida State football the other day. They putting automatic renewals in the contract where you gotta commit to another year. They putting team rules in there where if you don't, you miss practice, you get fined this, fined that. And so a lot of times people get caught up in that top line number of $500,000, $1 million. But what you got to do for that money, and what might benefit the agent to get his commission might not even work out for you in the long run.
At that time, was the collective contract, was that standard that they didn't have to pay you? Or
it wasn't necessarily standard. It wasn't necessarily standard. It's just that's who you was negotiating with.
Okay.
So it's a private entity. So you decide you don't want to be there no more. It could be in your deal. They can provide you with a car, right? So Jameer was one of the ones I worked the car deal out for with, right? Like, I did it in a way that his car wasn't going to be taken if XYZ happened, right? And so one thing you guys got to remember, and I say this all the time, right? In revenue share deals and collective deals, coaches care more about their ability to get rid of you if you don't perform than keeping you if you do. Because they feel like, I can pay you to stay if I got the money. I can convince you to stay. But if I got you on my roster and I feel like you're dead weight, I need you to go. And so that's why you don't see multi-year deals like that many. You know what I'm saying? You don't see a lot of that because it's like, wait a minute, if you don't perform, I can get better, I need to get you out that door.
Yeah. Well, I had a funny joke, but I don't think it's for the camera. I'm gonna say it afterwards. But okay, man, that was great information. So, what I want to do, right? I think we were talking offline about this 3 different contracts or something like that.
So typically, right now it's 2. You got the collective deals and you got the revenue share deals, which is the school for the first time on July 1st can actually directly pay students. There is a $20 million cap that the schools can spend on athletics. And so, but that in itself it's not even legal, because people can't just decide they're not going to pay you. That's when you hear about antitrust violations, right? That's against the law. So now what's happening is the NCAA now has the right to, with anything that's not revenue share or school direct compensation, the NCAA can jump in and say, oh, you can't get that deal. You can't take that. So collectives are now saying, and this is what I've been reading about recently, is they're about to take the NCAA to court and say, wait a minute, you can't tell me I can't compensate a kid just because I'm a collective. Yeah. So to kind of walk that back, in the settlement, the agreement was, okay, 3 things. We're going to pay all this back money, $2.4 billion. I know y'all saw from kids that played 2024. We're going to allow $20 million per school that want to opt in, up to $20 million you can pay. Now that's not a baseline, that's a ceiling. Some schools don't pay any. And then but as a result, every other deal that's not paid by the school has to be reviewed by the NCAA that's over $600. So that's why a lot of agents is getting tricky, because it doesn't really benefit you to do outside deals as much now, because you can do a whole deal and NCAA jump in and say it ain't valid. So the next wave of lawsuits is collective saying, so if I want to pay a kid, I can't give him no money because I'm a collective. Texas, I think I just saw Texas Tech or Texas A&M payroll was $28 million in football alone this year. Yeah. Based off the cap, they can only spend $20 million on the entire of sports.
And that's 64 players. That ain't
you get what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Actually, they can have up to 105 now.
Okay.
That they can have on the roster. And that's a roster cap is a whole nother thing. But yeah, so it's tricky. You know what I'm saying? It's so we're gonna see how this play out in court over the next 6 months or so.
Oh, this is just crazy. Just the lay of the land now. From when we was coming up, it's crazy.
Yeah, man. So do you feel like NIL is distracting players, or do you feel like it's empowering players?
I think it do both. I seen what happened when these kids there's kids getting a one-time direct deposit for $500,000. You can play the NBA and never get a check that big, right? And you get a one-time payout on one day of $500,000 to $1 million. The same issues NBA guys deal, where everybody want their money now and all this and all that, and everybody trying to find an angle for you. But it empowers players, because now players are the business. You know, they're the ones that should be compensated. So now a player has a space in that room where, the fruit of my labor is there. And you think about the United States, it's 450 jobs in the NBA. That's everybody's dream. Now I can go to college and think about this, right? Like, an average college player now is probably going to leave having made $1 million if you play in the Power 5. By average player, that's $250 a year. Most people ain't signing for that. You got kids that making $3-4 million in 1 year. And you take that over 4 or 5 years, you ain't got to think about the NBA.
So do you see that they're a little bit less motivated once they get that money, or what's your thoughts on that?
I don't think we can tell yet, because this is like the first year where kind of everybody got paid, so we'll see.
Okay.
But I think that, to me, the quality of college basketball hasn't declined. If anything, I would say it's motivated the mid-major guy. Look at the kid that went from Iona to Florida. Mm-hmm. Like, that's what's happening, and that's the motivation. But what I tell high school kids is, Like the goal of going D1 ain't never gonna change, right? But the path is different now. Just embrace that path. You get to your goal. You know what I'm saying? And now it's a big reward on that goal. You know?
I believe, especially right now, right? So, you know, it was always when the young kids got to the NBA or even adults, you know what I'm saying? They got their money and they blew it, right?
Yeah.
So 3 years in, you know, they was, you know, trying to pick it up and figure out what they was going to do. So now that they get this money early, I think now to kind of really instill that financial literacy in them now at this early age. So now when they do, you know, if someone able to get to a point of making it and getting playing professional, now I know how to manage this money. Why? Because I learned these skills and I've been doing this for a long time now. And I've been doing this since high school. I've been doing this while I was in college.
Yeah.
So I guess like now in disguise, this was a blessing where we can now start teaching the youngins, you know, this financial literacy and, you know, long-term planning and stuff like that.
And that's why to me it's important that when you have a team, everybody stay in their lane. I'm not a financial advisor, and I don't want to be. I'm gonna make sure you get your money. I'm gonna make sure the terms are favorable. I'm gonna make sure your basketball situation work out. I'm not gonna train you. I'm not gonna talk to you about your finance. That ain't my role. Now can I give you some advice from people that's got results? And I think we've seen guys, you know, on the NBA track, when they got a person that want to do everything for them, that's not out of their line of expertise. Trainers become agents, and it don't work because you need the smartest people around you. They don't become emotional. I'm not threatened by nobody. You know, I know what my job is with my guys, and that's what I focus on. Whatever else they got going on, that's what they got going on. You know, they come in advice on who to pick. We can talk about that, but I'm not about to tell you to put your money at. That ain't what I do.
Silos, I like that.
Yeah.
So with R&R, what type of qualities are y'all looking for when you kind of scouting for a new client?
I focus on like so it's two sides to R&R. There's the college side representing NIL, but we partner with an overseas agency, so we represent pros now too.
Okay.
So on the college side, I'm looking for, just like when I had my helping kids get into school, it was all about undiscovered talent is what I go after, right? There's some guys that come in, you just know gonna get paid. I don't do that much. I focus on, is there a kid at Morgan State that have certain indicators? So I have an analytics guy on my team. I say, hey, who's the best three-point shooter or top 5 three-point shooter in Division II basketball right now? Why do I do that? Because when you look at who's getting paid, I give you a stat line of 2 guys I had, I won't say names, both had 13 points per game, both about 4 assists per game. One shot 45% from 3, one shot 33% from 3. The one that shot 45% from 3 is over $500,000. The one that shot under 40% from 3, around 33% from 3, could barely get to $200,000. Those are the indicators, right? Like, how efficient are you? You can average 20 a game. How did you get your 20, right? So I'm analytical with it. Who can it show that it translate to that next level? And that's the credibility I built from years ago of having a Marquise Reed go from Robert Morris to all ACC at Clemson, or Rodney Pryor that went from all at Robert Morris to Georgetown. You know, I had those guys under my program. Or a lot of people don't know Isaiah Moore, right? Came to my gym, no scholarship offers. You know, he goes to Franklin Pierce, D2 All-American Player of the Year, go to South Alabama. Now he a G League guy. He the top one-on-one, might be one of the top one-on-one guys in the country, right? Like, I look for those things, like what translate, you know, and that's kind of based on the pro side. I'm still learning the business a little bit with my partner, but mainly I go out the guys, me and Kareem go out the guys that want to build off the court. So like Aaron Harrison. So he's a pro, he's established, right? But what kind of things can we get going off the court? Like now I'm setting him up with podcast interviews. We working on a book deal for him. Like those are things that, you know, we try to do. And then we just signed the Hoop Dream guys, Arthur and Will. How can we take their legacy they built and start spreading that message to the new generation? So that's what we kind of look for.
One thing I really love about what you said was the things in your past prepared you for this.
Yeah.
Right? Like so your eye was very seasoned for what you're looking for because of the things you've done, you know, in history. And I think sometimes we discredit, not we, I'm just saying like the world discredits some of those experiences that people ain't see in the dark. You know what I'm saying?
How do some of the deals differ from like high school to college to you say y'all got the professional players, the pros, international?
On the deal is getting a high school kid signed with NIL is we haven't signed a high school kid. I got some young kids I'm going after, but just talking to coaches and looking how it was done, a lot of schools. Now let's take the top 10 out of it, like the AJs and the Cooper Flags, but for the number guys, a lot of schools are saying, okay, this is what I'm willing to pay a freshman. And they can either, this is what it is or it's not. Mm-hmm. Now, I've seen where schools have told me, and this is kind of in that space where a lot of times the advisors have a number of commission they wanna make. Yeah. Because if you think about it, if I do 10 overseas deals, I might commission 10% on 50 grand, 60 grand, right? Now, what if I do one deal and my commission 15% on 800 grand? That's my livelihood. So now I don't even always got the best interest of the player at heart. And so people are shopping high school kids with, and I've seen some where it's like, okay, I want to get 350, 250. That kid not proving yet. Mm-hmm. There's a kid in the portal that already done this on a college level, right? So for high school kids, I stress best situation, meaning let's not talk about the money your freshman year, because guess what? If you don't play your freshman year, money ain't coming back. Right. So situation is everything for high school kids. Now, again, if you're top 10, you do what you want, but that's the most important. For a college kid, what is the mindset, right? So if I'm a rising senior, I need to get paid that year because I might not ever get paid again, right? So I gotta get paid that year. For the younger college kids I have, it's more like, okay, let's find a situation where we can get paid nicely and really give numbers so you can get paid again. So that's our philosophy, is get paid again. Mm-hmm. Right? But a lot of cases when you see some of these bigger agencies with 100 kids, 50 kids, like they're focused on just, I need to put you in the most money. A story, I won't name the kid, but it was a kid that wanted to go to a school. They was gonna pay him less, but he wanted that role. The agent went behind his back, like, you gotta give the kid this or he ain't coming. Kid ain't know nothing about it. So the school pulled out. He went to the school to pay them more money, but he ain't had a role he wanted. So you gotta remember, the certain conferences have a lot of money to pay guys to sit. If you in the SEC right now, and you're the 6'7" man, you probably over $500,000. Like, and you talking about, you can get $455 to sit and not play. That's how much money they got.
It's like a backup quarterback.
Yeah, it is. So, but a lot of times a backup quarterback in college, at some point you might play. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? Like, a lot of times it's like, you got a big that's, he's raw. But he might be something, he might not. I got money to blow, I give him $500,000. He ain't gonna see the court though. So I try to tell my guys, man, I need y'all on the court because I need y'all to get paid again. You know what I'm saying? That's my philosophy.
So do you think they're paying them to sit and develop them, or they just paying them just to hold as hostage leverage?
Well, you got, it's partly that, but you gotta have 12 guys, 13 guys to have practice. The most you got now is 15, right? So you gotta have that. Who you want in practice? A 6'4" kid, high school kid that ain't give you nothing, or a 6'9" NBA athletic wing that might not be that good, but he's simulating in practice what we need. And if he becomes something, we good. If he don't, he can transfer down to next year and play in the meet, in the match or something.
And I guess that's why, like you said earlier, it's critical to make sure that contract is good, because at any point in time, he might just be like, you know what? I ain't really getting no use for him. Let me get him off and grab this.
And that's why you gotta make sure the deals are. So one thing I try to do with my deals is, and I'm real specific about this. You'll see in certain contracts, if they enter the portal, the deal is not valid, right? So I spend a lot of times with schools. I'm like, wait a minute, you can also put them in the portal.
Okay.
So I'm like, two things. You want them to sign this contract, and you put them in a portal and you backload the deal and don't pay them, right? Or you put in everything to the portal, meaning that you're making them guaranteed to a second year before you even negotiate how much money you're gonna pay them the following year. And so I try to build contracts to where it's like, upon them completing the academic school year. So as long as they don't withdraw from school, pay them their money because the season over. You know what I'm saying? If it's a deal built, if it's not like a more upfront deal. But that's how I try to protect my players, by saying, I'm gonna make sure you get your money. You just do what you gotta do. Don't get in no trouble. You know what I mean? Don't ruin your name. You know, because all that moral stuff are in these deals. The other part is interesting and I was talking about this with a lawyer the other day, is a lot of these deals have confidentiality clauses in them. And kids go around talking about how much they got. You'll see like an agent post, like a lot of times for the agent to be able to say, hey, come sign with me. But a lot of those deals, when it's finally signed, have a confidentiality clause. So, but before it's signed, there's no clause. You get what I'm saying? So like, if we verbally agree, we ain't signed no deal yet, I can talk about it. You know, but once it's done, if there's changes in the deal there, you can't talk about it. So that's where it gets tricky. You know what I'm saying?
Man, them colleges, they making sure that they got gag man.
Oh yeah. I mean,
you got to. You
yeah, you need to know where everybody else.
One of the
what
interesting things that we're seeing might play out in court soon is, if you're assigned to a public school, does your contract have to be made public? You know, the coach's salary is public because it's a public institution, the government's funding it, right? So it's going to be a fight now with, do you have to disclose these contracts? And that's going to be very interesting.
So that's going to be very interesting. They not going to want to disclose those contracts because, you know,
it creates some issues on the school
for
side.
sure.
Do they? One question on this. Do they have any type of confidentiality on like how the coaches are treating them?
In terms of like, can they speak on that?
Yeah.
Nah. So the confidentiality typically just addresses the money piece.
Okay.
But there's moral clauses in there. So if you are considered disrespecting your coach and institution, that falls under morality and things like that. Because see, the silly part of all this is pay for play. They can't be written as pay for play because they don't want to give these guys employment status, because then comes the ability to unionize, the ability for players to have input on how all this goes, right? So now I can negotiate what's good for me. Right now, players have no say besides out of a negotiation on what this looks like. So when you unionize and you have a collective bargaining agreement, now the players have input on what this looks like, and that's their biggest fear.
Our contracts would have been voided like all.
That's be interesting because they still kids, right? I mean they still should have an input. At the end of the day, you still the child. Yeah. So like, are we really gonna go with what you say you should have or how this should go? But then now, you know, it's a lot of older players that's in the league too. So would they say, okay, if you're a certain age, you get to have input of what's going in your contract, or
no? So
maybe
you think about the NBA, right? You have the Players Association. So they set the terms that the NBA operate under would be as an agreement between the owners and the players. Right now, it's none of that. So you establish them as employees and they form a union. Now, okay, this is the percentage that agents can charge. This is the percentage of revenue that players should actually get. Their representation and them get a voice in this. Oh, we don't got the deal we want. Now we're gonna imagine players like sitting out during March Madness, right? Like that would be an issue for them. So trying to prevent that, and this is why the legislation they're trying to push through Congress right now is trying to codify the fact that they're not employees, and so like everything the NCAA wants. That's what Congress is trying to, Republicans and Democrats are trying to push through. I don't think at the end of the day it's going to happen, but that's what they're trying to do. And you can ignore like Trump's executive order. That thing has no teeth. Like he don't control nothing when it comes to this private business. But no, federal legislation can, because what they want is they want an antitrust exemption, meaning that they can pretty much do what they want to do. They can control how much players make. You can't sue them. Because everything right now is subject to lawsuit, including eligibility. Why is it that you can only make money for 4 years or play for 4 years? Why is that a thing? It's nothing legal behind that.
Oh, shit.
It's nothing legal. That's something that tradition is not law. Yes, traditionally you have 5 months play for, but it's not law. Who is to say? I mean, and I tell people this. What if you work as a CEO of the company and they say, well, you can only be a CEO for 4 years? The government tells you that. That don't make sense. Right? So why do I only have 4 years to make $250,000 a year or $500 a year, and now I gotta go do something else for less money? What other industry does that?
Tradition is not law.
It's not.
I mean, I tell my folks that all the time. Outside of basketball, like, tradition.
So people get irritated. Like, you mean you could be in school for 5 or 6 years? How long you been at your job? What if you had to retire from Metro after 5 years? You'd be mad, right? What's the difference? That's something I can do for 10 years. And now, this was on Twitter yesterday. I was like, there's a big influx of European kids playing pro instead of entering the draft. Don't want them to get an NIL deal. Yeah.
I know for sure. Dude, Maxi Kleber played with me when I was in Germany. He's with the Mavs now, but I know for sure he would have came over here and got some money, before going to the NBA. But the only thing that I guess would be worrisome is then it would shrink the pot of the younger generation coming into college if everybody just get to stay at their job for 5-6 years.
So, but then you have another piece of this, which is they're fighting, does Division II and JUCO, should that affect your eligibility, right? Because this is something I used to say 10 years ago, right? And people think I was crazy. But I want you guys to really think about it. What is the connection between having a 3.5 GPA and being a good basketball player? What is the actual physical, logical connection? It's not one. Think about how many players you know that would have made it pro if school wasn't involved.
Hey.
Right? So you have this connection between, I gotta have this GPA, I gotta be in school and take these courses. That got nothing to do with making money on the basketball court. And now that's being tested. So that's what the lawsuit is. If I go to junior college because the NCAA Division I declared me ineligible and the school was gonna offer me $450,000 to come play for them, right? I've been deemed ineligible by a system that's not even legal to tell me I can't make $450,000 because I had a D in algebra. There's no connection there. So now guys are going to get older, guys are going to filter through, but from a legal standpoint, like if you got to go through Division II, JUCO to get to your opportunity, it's no different than going to college than going to the pros. It's the same thing. It just creates a different ecosystem. It's just changing how this is done. And the other piece that people don't like is you got to be good enough.
Yeah, I was about to say.
You know what I'm saying? Like in the DMV, because almost playing high-level basketball in the DMV was a rite of passage to a D1 scholarship because so many people for so long made their reputation, made their money off that, they felt right. But I mean, honestly, if the kid is good enough, he's going to get paid. And now there's more opportunities to get paid. Who wants to fight that?
So, I remember you spoke about, you said, you wanted your players to, hey man, just, play well and get good so we get another contract. So within that landscape, do you see that the players are going for long-term equity type deals, or are they going for that big cash lump sum off the break?
It depends on their sense of reality, and it depends on a lot of times their advice, right? So if you're in a situation where you got, let's say, I'm getting a scenario, you a 5'9", 5'10" guard that's never going to get paid a lot of money to play professional basketball. Is somebody willing to give you $1 million to come play with them for a year? Do your situation really matter at that point?
Yeah.
Because your overseas career is not going to look like that. But if you have NBA potential, but it's a matter of them seeing the production over, maybe you need an extra year, right? To me, that situation where like, okay, and I'll use like one of the kids I work with, like Kobe McGee from Drexel. So Florida State gave him a nice compensation package, and they built the team around him. The whole team was built around him. Could he have got more money from some other schools? Yeah, but I'm like, you got a chance to be the best player in the ACC at a major school that's going to now get an opportunity to make way more money later, as opposed to maybe taking more money at a school to be a role player. Now the burden is on you to show how good you are. You want to get paid again? You got the opportunity to show it. You about to play for a brand new NBA coach who came from the Sacramento Kings, who said, I want to build my career around you. How do you turn that down? That's worth money in itself, right? So that's how I guide my guys, but again, it's situational, right? Some guys I'm like, you might not ever get paid a lot of money to do this. Let's get this bag and let's figure out what's next.
Okay. Nah, man, great answer. So we're gonna bring the elephant out the room. So what do you say to folks that's be like, man, an agent ain't necessary?
So in some cases, that might be true. I'm not that guy. I'm not like you need. That's why I focus on. We call ourselves advisors because because a lot of times what a lot of these agents are doing is they're going in and saying, okay, this is what he's worth, and this is literally how it goes. They'll sign 10 kids. They'll text the head coach at Maryland which kids you like on his list. They might say, okay, like this one. How much? This how much to even get a conversation with him. Right? And then you sign a deal, the agent get a percentage, and that's it. That's how a lot of this goes. That's not my motto. My motto is, okay, let's get the deal done, but I'm not done yet. I'm gonna come see you. I'm gonna make sure the coach doing what he's supposed to do. We're gonna figure out some other things we can do to make sure you're good. You got some other opportunities. Like I'm there. I don't leave the picture because the deal's done. But if you got 100 clients, you can't be there. Yeah. Right? But with me, I'm trying to keep my core group not huge enough that I can still have a relationship with everybody. That if they have questions, they need help, I can be there. I think everybody needs that. But if a school's gonna offer you this amount of money and that's the school you wanna be at, that's the coach you wanna play for, at that point, all the person is probably taking the percentage. If that, you know what I'm saying? So that's why I say it's situational. I don't think everybody need one, but I think specifically if you don't understand how contracts work, at least have somebody look over your contracts and you not get tricked, that's all.
Yeah.
Okay. Especially as you enter into revenue share, and these revenue share deals are tricky because it's the school that's paying you. The school is trying to protect themselves, very much so. I've seen some crazy stuff in them. So you definitely want somebody to look that over, in my opinion.
I see both sides of it. I mean, I would be trying to protect myself too if I'm gonna be investing money in a child. So I definitely see both sides of it. So typically, what is a fee of an agent?
Good question. So
does it vary?
What happened? It varies, but I'm gonna tell kids this: shouldn't nobody be paying 20%? And some people are. Shouldn't nobody be paying 20%? And I'm skeptical on people paying 10%. We don't charge that. You know what I'm saying? But what is the agent actually doing for you? Are they actually making the deal happen, and are they negotiating it, or are they just saying this is what it costs? Like, you got to be involved. I think you can kind of, if your agent tells you, this agent's literally going to say, it's 3 to 5 business days before I respond to you to the class. Literally, that's what they say. So you don't pay 20% for that. And that's why I think that part of the collective bargaining will help, because I don't think, honestly, anything over, I would say in the 5 to 7% range should be charged, in my opinion. Now, when you're done with overseas stuff, I think everything overseas, because the business model over there is 10%. I know you guys know that. That's a little different. But you shouldn't be paying about 20% or 15%. I don't think so. That's my opinion.
Yeah, I think this is an opportunity for the parents to educate themselves so they know what's going on.
And then some of these agents on stuff like, not only am I getting 20% of your contract, I'm getting 10% off of everything you do outside of this contract, whether I find it or not. Now, marketing deals is a little different, right? Because if I go get you a deal with Gatorade, I might deserve a little more from that because of the labor I had to do that, right? But when you talk about strictly basketball and we trying to get, I don't see why that's necessary.
Yeah, because is it something like, say I get you this Gatorade deal and then I'm somewhere and somebody recognizes me from being on whatever I did for Gatorade, and they come to me and with another opportunity. Are those agents saying, "Oh, if you get that, I need to get a piece of that too because it came from what I did"?
No, they're just saying period because I represent you. Wow. See, what it tries to do is create exclusivity, right? What they try to do that for is prevent you from having 2 agents at the same time. Because that's what a lot of overseas players do. They don't want a sound agent. They want 3 guys trying to find them a deal. They go with the best deal. That's a waste of time for anybody, right? But that's the point of that, so that you're not using 2 and 3 agents.
Hey. I could think of a couple guys who done that for sure. Like, bro, how many agents you got?
Yeah.
He said, I got whoever find me the best deal. I'm like, damn.
And that works out for some guys. So I'm not necessarily knocking that. But for me, I'm not interested in that. If you're not gonna sign with me, I ain't gonna work for you because I don't know. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I mean, that's cool. Whoever finds you something, but that to me, it still would be always better where I know somebody, we build a relationship, we have a good rapport. I know you're in my best interest, and you gonna go out and you gonna.
And most agent contracts come with a 30-day termination notice. Right. So, and the point of that is so that you don't fire me and then do a deal tomorrow, you already know done, right? You can't just walk away like that. But yeah, most deals, even if I sign a 2-year deal with an agent, we do with an agent, normally in 30 days I can terminate it. You know what I'm saying? So you don't play games with people.
Yeah. Okay.
So yeah.
Oh, it's on me. All right, so let's ask this. Walk us through a scenario with a say a college kid, right? Who is he's coming from I don't want to put a college name out there. Let's so just say a low major, right? Walk us through that process of what you're doing. How do you engage them? You know, what is that process like? Talking to the school, like, yeah, just walk us through.
So if you're a mid-major kid, normally I'm looking at your metrics. I'm looking at your level of efficiency and consistency. And so from there, I have so many relationships with college coaches that I can start sending out testers. Hey, what do you think about this kid? What do you think about that kid? What do you think about this kid? So I gather that information. Now, if I do them previously, then I probably already been communicating with somebody new. I'll just find a way to connect with them. You know, it's 6 degrees of separation. So I'm gonna find a way to connect. And when I sit down, I'm gonna go through my history of what I've done and how I think they project. A key for me though is, what I ask is, how do you want your recruitment to go? Because if you wanna go on a world tour, I got no interest in you. I don't do that. We need to be able to, we have 2, 3, because 20 schools are going to call people. How do you get from 20 to 3 to 1? That's my goal, 20, 3, 1. If you are just in love with taking visits and traveling the country, you're not serious. That's not what this is. When NBA free agency period start, people sign the first day. Normally the guy that drag it don't get paid. And so I'm trying to explain that to kids, like, how serious are you about this? Are you about getting to the best situation, the best, money, whatever the case is, right away? So I start working on deals normally a couple weeks before the portal open. If I know the kid's going to enter, I know what they're looking for, I'm already working, trying to figure something out. So that if something new comes when the portal opens, we already kind of got a framework of what they got to be. So I don't gotta drag schools. No, it's like, hey man, I'm gonna let you know this school offered this. And no lies, I don't bluff nobody. I'm like, this is what this school offered. This is what can happen. So then you start getting to incentives, right? Can you put together a package, for example, that includes their parent relocating? That's important to them. What kind of other things do they want? A vehicle? What can we do? What kind of place they gonna stay in? All that stuff starts to come in to the negotiating, right? We're talking about this money. So all that, since we got a framework of what's been offered, when the portal open, maybe a new school come in, I don't know, something like that. Now, this is the framework that we're operating under. Do you want to get them on campus?
Question. Is it, so let's just say that kid got offered $500,000. Is the relocation, the car in that $500,000, or that's
It
extra?
depends. So it could be, hey, like, okay, we're going to give you $450, but we're going to get you $50 up front to handle that. Because a lot of times what happens is some schools don't mind doing the back door on that. Some schools, man, we'll just give you the cash and you take care of it. So they'll allocate this for that. And that's how it's a negotiation tactic. You know what I'm saying? Because you want to incentivize. If everybody offer you the same thing, what's the differentiate, right? But a key for me is, where are they at on the list of recruitment? If they're number 1 on the list, that's the most important thing to me, because now I know that their whole plan is to get you. Now we got more leverage. If you're number 2, number 3 on the list, you waiting on to see what somebody else do. Now they might prioritize you later, but is that what you really want? You want to go with who wants you. And I had 2 kids where we did a Zoom call on Wednesday. The flight was booked that night. They was on campus the next day. The deal was done the following day. That's how I like the business to go. Because you wait. You do every single day. Dennis Felton taught me this, Coach of Providence, told me this 10 years ago. Every day you drag your recruitment out, you lose leverage. Now, if you're 6'10" big and there's not a lot of y'all, one thing that happened this year was the point guard market was really strong. I had a kid that I was trying to get. I tested the market for him. I was like, yo, you leave, you're gonna get $500,000. I told him flat out. I showed him. He ended up leaving and assigned somebody else and got $500,000. And I was trying to get him in a portal because that's what the market was dictating. Bigs and point guards and athletic wings that can shoot. That's who got paid this time. So if you are a really good point guard that showed it on the college level, enter that portal. Tell that mid-major, hey, I'll come back if I ain't got nothing. But I need to go see if I can get paid. I owe it to myself. You would do the same thing. You know.
Is there any? I know you spoke about it a little bit. Is there any like kind of rules or regulations that you think would be changed coming down the pipeline, or is it something that you specifically want to be changed?
Well, right now, there's really no laws. It's just a lawsuit that's settled. That's AA, right? So there's no laws. What I'm watching now is the tampering thing. So this is interesting. So there's a lawsuit right now going on between Miami and Wisconsin about some football player that tampered, right? So on surface, it's like, well, okay, like what really comes from that? What I'm watching is, will the government say that NCAA policy can be enforced the same way law can, right? So if the courts rule that I think Wisconsin tampered on a Miami player, that is the court saying that a tampering policy can now be enforced as law. I think that's dangerous because I think that's not fair. I think that if a school reaches out to a third party, that's not tampering. Like, you know, when a coach wants to move to another school, he's already working on that deal. They don't call that tampering.
Facts.
So why do a player now gotta be no, I hope that doesn't happen. I hope they realize that, hey, tampering, NCAA, you figure out your penalties for that, how you regulate it. I don't think the courts need to get involved in that. I wanna see more, I wanna see if something becomes law, I wanna see players actually become employees because that's what they are. You know, I want to see that. I want to see them have collective bargaining. I want to see them have input on this. I want to see this become a real thing. Right now, is when people say the Wild Wild West, it's not because of how much money is being paid. It's because there's no real rules. You know what I'm saying? And I gotta include this. I'll say this in the camera. This transfer culture is driven by college coaches and athletic directors. It is not driven by players. Go look at the portal. The 2,000 kids in there, I would say the average point per game in the portal is 4 points per game. They're not. It's not a guy that averages 2 points a game when his coach saying I'm gonna get $1 million. The coach is saying I don't want you back. Mm-hmm. They like this, that they can reset their roster every year. But somehow the player get told we're avoiding adversity. No, they don't get a chance to meet adversity. I tell freshmen all the time, go ahead and take that D1 off for one D1. I promise you'll be in the portal next year if you can't produce right away. Eric Musselman said it out loud a couple years ago. He said, I only can keep 8 players happy. The rest of them just practice for 1 year. And that's really how coaches think. If you are not, and this is the other part is, if you are not a rotation player on a winning team, it is a good chance you won't graduate from college. And that's a fact. Because think about it. You go to Niagara your first year, you transfer, you lose credits. The next school don't want to keep you. You transfer, you lose credits. You're a senior, and you ain't got no credits to graduate. And nobody gonna pay for your summer school. But it's about education, right?
Okay.
That's real.
I mean, I still. I mean, I guess that's the importance of, you know, finding a school that's a good match for you. And at the end of the day, the student athlete has to. I mean, I want to play. I don't know. I just feel like if I'm in a situation, I guess it's hard if you're in a situation where the coach might be showing favoritism to somebody else and they just really want that guy to play. But I just feel like I still believe in, I put my work and I'm going to get on this floor. Like, I'm a go to school, get my education. I'm just busting whoever ass in front of me. I'm getting on the floor. I know you think you might be all world, but
guess what? If I'm paying that kid $500,000, you ain't getting on the floor.
Yeah. That's just like
the NBA. How do you go to your AD and say, yeah, I'm paying this guy $500,000, but I'm playing the guy to make $20,000? If they say injury happened or something catastrophic happened, I gotta pay that guy. I gotta play that guy.
But all right, so let's put that right. He getting $500,000. But I come out of nowhere now. I'm destroying him. Can't you just renegotiate my contract?
Not in the middle of the year.
So we gotta wait the next year.
And I gotta answer. And so you have these general managers now who facilitate a lot of money. Some are independent of the coach, which I think should be the standard. Some are assistant coaches. Somebody got to be held accountable for that. If I'm paying you $500,000, should nobody be doing that? Now, somebody got to be held accountable. Now, you have situations where a guy that, but this is why I say the mid-major to low-major level is better for those guys, because you ain't really got a lot of guys on that level making $500,000. So if a guy making 60 grand and one guy making 20 grand, that's a whole different dynamic. I'm talking about on that high level where you got a guy that's, I mean, if you're making, money at Texas Tech, you're making 700 grand. Shouldn't nobody be doing that to you? Or somebody along the line messed up somewhere.
Yeah, some of that valuation was
Somebody
off.
got to be held accountable. And now, trying to keep that guy is going to be hard if that's really happening. Because now somebody else can come in and throw a real bag at him.
So, I mean, I probably could do this. So in a situation like that, if I'm there and I'm getting 200, but I have a crazy year. Mm-hmm. Now the next year, I'm like, oh yeah, we gotta re-up. We gotta up this bag, man. They doing that as well.
You can do that, and it happens. But I mean, just like in pro sports, like somebody probably come with a bigger one. You know what I'm saying? Like it's hard. Player retention is a strategy, right? Some schools are focused on it. Some schools are like, I just gotta go get the next best player because can't keep that guy because somebody might find him more valuable than we can compensate. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? Like there's different teams have different amounts of money. You might have a $4 million budget in your school, and your rival has $8 million. It's gonna be hard to keep that guy. Yeah. That's just the reality of it. And then the Big East, who don't have football, is at a way advantage. They can pay what other schools can't pay. That's really what like the fight is about the outside money is, because football is king. From the basketball side, like you got schools that don't have football that now can allocate more money. So the UConn, to Georgetown, to Providence, like there's money there because you are the school, right?
Is it A-10 too, right?
The A-10 is a the A-10 is a mid-major, but there are schools in the A-10. I had the A-10 offer one of my players $500,000 in school.
Yeah, we interviewed the AD at VCU, and I do know
they got good money.
Their budget is pretty strong.
But that becomes like, and I talked about this in an article I did with the Inquirer, was as let's say I'm coming from GW, right? Mm-hmm. But Oregon wants to offer me, let's say they want to offer me $650 to be a role player, but George Mason want to offer me $550 to be the man. I got to think about that. Mm-hmm. Which one placates to me more? Do I take more money for a lesser role, or do I take less money for a better role here?
Right, get that next contract.
Right, to get the next one. So it's all about, like, you have to understand the player's mindset going into this. That's the hard part about this. Everybody thinks they're better than they are. We know that all bricks, right? But who's logical? Who understands like what the end goal is? I don't deal with it. I don't like dealing with the illogical guys. Right? Like hopefully everybody made the NBA, but everybody not gonna make the NBA, right? So can I sit down and have a logical conversation with you about what can happen, about what the potential is? The Big East to me is great for undersized bigs. They get drafted from the Big East, right? But if you thinking, oh, I should do this in the Big Ten, no, it's not the fit.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? But if I can't logically have that conversation, I represent you. But if it's gonna be I think I'm this, and I don't do a lot with that because I'm not built like that. Like I'm about results and getting to something.
I love that you're very aware of who you are, yeah. which makes it a lot easier to narrow down what you like. You know,
I've never
smart.
had 5 stars. I've never had All-Americans. I've only ever worked with guys that was like, how do I get there? You know what I'm saying? So that's my story. I might be different if I grew up around the 5 stars. I didn't have that to this day. But I've had guys that finished out stronger though. So
it's crazy because just like listening to all this, I'm thinking now like would the young student athletes sit down and say, okay, and try to figure out, all right, what type of player do I want to be? Because if I'm like this, then I could keep getting this money or doing it. But it's like, I see the good side of it, but then the side I kind of don't like about it is to not have to think about that. Yeah. And you just play and get better. You develop to what you develop into. Now you might be trying to figure out, oh, I need to be like this so I can fit over here and I can get
But what
money.
I tell kids when it comes to that is focus on consistency. So you got to know Brandon what it is with. So I had him in 8th grade. When he came, I coached him before he blew up. And I told him in 8th grade, you are going to be one of the best players in this country. I said, but like, you got to focus in your mind is people got to see who I am every day.
Yeah.
It should never be on Monday, I look like a top 5 player in the country. On Tuesday, I look like I don't like basketball. I said, when you can master consistency, who you are as a player will emerge naturally because I want to go be this every day, right? So you got to kind of lock in and say, this is what makes me successful on the court, and I'm going to focus on that. And you'll notice it happens all the time. And if you get the kind of coaching that pushes that won't allow you to be inconsistent because they're not trying to lose you, right? Like consistency and efficiency is what comes from this now. You want to get paid, do those two things. Whatever you're good at, be good at it. You know what I'm saying?
Man, consistency is a love language.
Yeah.
You know, not just in hoops, just in life in general. And, you know, I will say, Shorty done made a lot of threes in this piece, Jamie. You know, that's that next piece. And then if he can learn, you know, I hope he get a chance to see this. I'm sure everybody has told him this, but just his feel, right? If he can, because he's a freak athlete. I mean, it's just he dump everything. You know what I mean? Great defender, long, right? Now we seeing the 3-pointer, and then if he can just get a feel for when to make a simple play, or sometimes he try to do too much, and it's like, bro, you don't even got to do that.
And when I had him, he was a back to the basket big, right? And this is the crazy thing. When I coached basketball only 3 years. And we at Lamb Christian. My first year, we won 2 games. My last year, we lost 2 games. We ran through the city, won our championship, first time in school history, all that. But Brandon was on that middle team where we kind of turned it around. He was the biggest kid in the conference, right? I made him play point guard. People was like, why are you not? I said, because he's not going to be that. I don't care how many times he turns the ball over. I need him to just get used to having the ball in his hands, playing basketball the way he's going to have to play it one day. And it was all mental, right? I'm not no development guy, but I just knew, like, if I can just get him used to being that guy, it's going to some point come out of him and say, hey, I can be that guy. And then the next guy, he can get better coaching and develop. So I've seen it. I talk to his dad almost every day. I'm like, man, we was talking about, and this is what I tell him. I'm like, we was talking about being a good college player in 8th grade. So now our conversation is about you being a pro and what that looks like. I said, I'm always going to be a step ahead of you, a step ahead of everybody else because I believed in you before everybody else did. You know what I'm saying?
Oh, man, it's beautiful. One of the things I used to tell kids, I'm like, yo, by the time you 19, 20, like, you need to know that you're a pro. And if you not, I mean, I'm not, like, the game has changed so now that you can still have a nice livelihood. But, like, by the time, I still think it remains the same. By the time you 19, 20, even if you don't go to the draft, like, you have to know that you're a pro.
And for that is like you gotta love it, man. Like you gotta love what you do on the court. Understand that whether I get paid $1 million to do this or I never get paid $1, I love it that much. And that's where like this kid missed what we had, because we played for fun. We played no matter what. You know what I'm saying? These kids don't really do that. I don't know if they ever found it anything other than some type of business. You know what I'm saying? And not their fault, but because we decided in the last 15 years that I need to know if you're good at 6. I mean, it was kids, I didn't start playing till high school. You rarely see that now, right? So where do they find the fun in the game, right? Where I do this just because I like to do it. Most of the time, they not even playing pickup because they just don't feel like it. They tired. They, you know what I'm saying? So one thing I tried to do when I had EDAS was we would play pickup 3 days a week at Spring Hill Lake Recreation Center. Sometimes 10, 12, 11, 12 o'clock at night. I remember one night, 1 o'clock in the morning, Markel Falls, Anthony Cowan, and Alani Moore walked in the gym just to play pickup. It was free. It was just, we're going to bump. You want water, lose. You know what I'm saying? And we bumped all night. And I got to see kids find, like, man, I just like doing this. It's just rare now. You know what I'm saying? They're thinking about NIL in 6th, 7th grade. And it's not their fault. It's just you have to almost. Because if not, you're behind the 8 ball. You know what I'm saying?
That's crazy. So let me ask you this. What type of questions should parents be asking agents, and also what players as well? What should they be asking agents?
Well, the first thing, my question is, how available are you going to be to me? And that's a question that people don't ask. Like, what is our personal relationship going to look like? Do you have a relationship with me or just my contract? Right? Like, That's the first thing. The other thing is, I would ask an agent, what are you trying to get out of this? We know about the commission, right? But what are you really trying to get out of this? What's in it for you besides the commission, right? And the other thing is, what do you see my kid as on the court? Because some agents don't care about that. They don't care. They hear name is hot, they recruit them, they sign them, get the deal done. They don't care about none of that. So my question is, what kind of relationship are we going to have? And I don't think parents ask that at all. I think parents hear them say, hey, I can get you at Maryland, I can get you at Michigan for this amount of money. I had a kid that signed late that his agent, he averaged 20 points per game in Division I basketball. And his agent, really did him a disservice because he didn't know what he was doing. And he was just throwing his name out there, asking for money that wasn't there for him in that way. He still ended up getting a deal at the end once we start working with him. But you got to find out, and what relationships do you have with college coaches? That's the main thing. Do you have personal relationship with college coaches? You can call them, have conversations, or you just text them my name to them saying, will you take them? That makes a difference too.
So definitely, since it's big business, what does R&R have in place for the student athlete or the athletes where they are working on or educating them on taxes, long-term investments and stuff like that?
So we typically refer them to financial advisors. And this is just my personal thing. I sometimes find it as a conflict of interest because I've seen things agents have done in the background, advisors have done where they put their boys in play, they rep their players, and all of a sudden they kick back, right? I'm very transparent when it comes to this stuff. So I'll say, hey, this is what you should probably look for in a financial advisor. These are some people that might can help you, but I really try to stay independent of that because I don't want them to feel like, oh, you're getting something out of this, or my loyalty is more to that person than you, because it's not. But one thing we do is Kareem is a real estate, but he's one of the biggest real estate agents in Missouri. So guys don't want to get in real estate because he's an expert at that. He'll kind of help them with that. I have experience in taxes and stuff, so I'll give guys pointers of things they should do to create tax shelters and avoid a huge tax liability. But again, I'm always trying to bring a third party in. I think one hand has to wash the other, and that including your parents too. I've seen relationships with parents and kids fall apart because of this money, right? So you got to have checks and balances everywhere to make sure that it works.
Okay. So I want to get into your book, but I got one more question. So when you're talking to who are you talking to? Are you talking to the college coach? Are you talking to the general manager? And then how do you guys formulate what that player is worth market-wise?
So it depends on the general manager's role. So some schools, the general manager is an assistant coach.
Yep.
And typically what you find then is they operate like a payroll clerk more so. They're just telling the coach, this how much money we got for this position. Some GMs that are independent, it's more of I'm negotiating more so with the coach in terms of the basketball side. And then, this is how much money we have, and this is what it looks like. Because that outside GM is not really talking basketball per se. The one, we haven't got a deal done yet, but we had a lot of good conversations, working with this Adrian Wojciechowski from old ESPN guy. Mm-hmm. He has a really good handle on what's going on, like I said, Bonaventure. Yeah. He's not assistant coach. He's just running the GM stuff. So that's the model, I think. That's a more in-depth conversation about, hey, this is kind of the feedback coming from the coach. And we kind of doing it like that. Then the smaller schools, you're more so negotiating with the coach. The GM just kind of in name only. The head coach is the one this how much we gonna pay. This is what it's gonna look like. All this and all that. Yeah.
All right, cool, man. So talk to us about the book, man.
Yeah, man. So I looked at a lot of things I had done in basketball since the last 15 years. And so a friend of mine, Corey Melvin, had wrote a book called Just a Dad. When I saw him write, it's man, how did you do that? So he said, man, I can walk you through it. So he ended up co-writing the book with me. And I had so much I wanted to get out just about why. And a lot of it for me was, why do I do what I do? How did I get from playing to working with kids to, working with celebrities like, the Bill Bellamy's, Big U, the ones that got, Master P's and them, like, it came because I generally did everything I did because it was my goal to just help people and help my area, my city, as people as I could. And so I put it all down. My buddy helped me put it together. The sales are doing pretty well. And it's not even much about me per se. It's more, it talks early about my childhood and what made me the way I am. But I focus on what I was able to work with other people on and how they got from there to there. So there's sections in the book about like Marquise Reed, Isaiah Moore, and those guys, how they kind of got where they got, and also the trust they had in me, not being certified or not being all of that. How we built the Red Cup Hour, I think, is what most people want to read about. How that podcast came together. And I work for DC government on the Daytime's a chapter on that, how that role there played into things I've done. And it doesn't even mention R&R, that's the crazy part. But I think if people want to kind of like ever just realize how two things. Number one, I always say environment is important. And people focus on how hard they work when they tell success stories. I don't focus on that. There's a book called Outliers by Malcolm Gladwell who talks about, that's my favorite book, about how your outside environments play just as much role as how much work you put in. I think it's cheap to go to a kid or somebody and say, well, you just work hard. No, I was born into a family that's reputable in this area. My teachers, my relatives, Akbar Wahid, right? That's my cousin. He gave me, when I first started EDS, I said, you know, can I get college coaches? He sent me whatever college coach I wanted. I can say what I want about my knowledge. If he ain't do that, I wouldn't know why. My father taught him how to play, right? Or me and Hanif Hill, that's my blood cousin. It's a chapter book about how I was doing the board of administration with Greg and Mo. Like, I was born in the right situation. Now, did I have to make sure I was prepared? Yeah, but all those people played a role in how I got here. This is not I did this on my own type thing. This is how the community that looked out for me, my goal was to give back to that same community. And also I felt like in my basketball career, besides my dad, nobody really believed in me. And so my thing was, if you can believe in a person, like, it's no limit to what they can do. And that's what it's about.
Yeah, man. Hey, that book, so it was two things in that book that, man, I haven't read that book in about 10 years, but when they explain lawyers and Jews.
That's a good one.
Right?
Yeah, that's a good one.
Man, and then you be like, oh, or then when they talk about the hockey guys, you know, and you know, this is something that is now prevalent in basketball, but the reclass, right? But with hockey guys, what they talked about in the book is a lot of them, when they got a certain birthday, they put them a year behind, right? And then they go into these real prep academies early on, and that is their blueprint to become a successful hockey guy. It's funny. This podcast, you know, I watch successful podcasts. You asked me what I was studying before I jumped out here, you know what I mean? But like, I watched that era of the pandemic era, right? Where 2020, where some of these guys just jumped out, and I watched like all the stuff that they're doing. I still study it. Yep. You know what I mean? But you, like, there is a success, and like you're just talking about with basketball in general, there is a blueprint right now. Right, and you have to learn what that is, and really try not to go away from it. You know what I mean? Because you will get clipped. You know.
Yeah, and I mean, I like in the book when they talk about Steve Jobs and Bill Gates. Like people, and I think that's the key story. Because people look at them as these like amazing. Yeah, they were very smart, but they had access to computers.
Exposure.
That maybe 0.00001 had at that time. Like, that's the story to me. But you can't sell that to people. No. It don't sound good to say that, right? Because it sounds better to say I worked hard. I was up 6 o'clock in the morning. Yeah, but you had an exercise facility, and you see it now in the blueprint of NBA kids going to the NBA at the rate that they're going. They have access to things you don't have access to, right? So do it mean you gotta work a little harder? Yeah, but also mean, you know what? They just got something you don't have, and that's okay. Focus on what you can be good at, because there's a lane somewhere,
right?
But figure out what it is, but just understand, yeah, you can work hard and it not work out, and you didn't do nothing wrong. Somebody else just had an advantage over you. Playing basketball in the DMV is an advantage over 99% of the country. that's just a reality of it. Being born in DC, if you want to play basketball, is an advantage. Yeah. It's like playing football in Florida. Saying the same.
Hey, that was cool, man. I definitely there was something else I wanted to say. I'll come back to you. Go ahead.
Everybody want to be successful, and I think one of the hardest things is kind of maintaining that success. What advice would you give the audience about how to maintain the success?
I think you gotta be willing to. I worked for a long time at Best Buy when I was younger, and it was this motto we had: learn through challenge and change. I think you gotta look at the landscape and adapt to what the landscape requires, not what you're locked in at doing. 8 years ago when I started EDAS, I could get a college coach to come to my gym 10 o'clock at night and recruit, right? In the NIL era, that doesn't work. I can keep trying that, it didn't work. I can be honest with these guys and say, listen, like, we gotta embrace a different path. We gotta say, you know what, let's look at this JUCO, let's look at this D2, and get to that result. Always understanding that we just gotta get to the goal a different way, but it's still the same. And companies that can adapt exist longer. Most of the companies that was alive, that was thriving when we was young are gone now. And I remember a lady at one of my jobs saying it. She said 90% of businesses fail. You know what I'm saying? So your success rate is 10% anyway. So how do you maintain that, right? You gotta adapt. You gotta go under. Look at Amazon, right? Like they adapt to everything. So that's what I would say. Being able to adapt to the landscape and embracing it, not being frustrated about the change. Like, I'm going to go this way. I never saw myself being an Asian advisor. But if I wanted to stay relevant in basketball and still continue to help kids, I had to adapt. I had to learn. I had to study. I had to take that path for what it was. You know what I'm saying? But, so that's all I can really advise.
Nah, man, this was cool, man. So what I was going to say was, when we were just talking about outliers, right? One of the things that I have noticed now is like folks that were in real estate, like, or heavy in stocks and stuff, right? Just things that I've adopted in the last probably like 5-6 years. A lot of those guys was introduced to it as a kid. And so like one of the things that I do with my daughter a lot is like we talk about it, right? And so it's amazing what she's absorbed so early, you know what I mean? And so like she's seasoned to it. So by the time she gets older, Lord willing, she like this is normal to her. That's her normal.
And that's one thing I did with my kids, even the game of basketball. Like, I've taught them the business. That little Ricky, he's playing high school. Like my daughter Aaliyah, she can run a clock and a book at the same time. So now she get called all over the city. My son Ryan as well. Like, I said, listen, you ain't gotta be in the court to make money or do this, right? You can learn this different ways. And so I started having them do the book and clock in my leagues, for the men's leagues, and they learned, they got good at it. So now, like, I'm like, listen, I was never passionate as probably most about playing basketball, but I do understand it can be a lane to do other things. And that's how I tell my kids, like, you ain't gotta love basketball. I don't care if you pick up a ball, but use it to get your education paid for, use it to make connections, use it to get a job. Like, that's how I teach them. I think that's important. Yeah.
Cool, man. Was there anything that we didn't talk about that you want to speak on before we close out?
Nah, man. I think this is a good conversation. I mean, I just always want to tell people, just educate. Education's important to me. Educate yourself on this stuff. Don't go off of feelings. Educate yourself. But everything that you study, that you in this game that you are interested in, verify it. Don't be afraid of data. Don't be afraid to. It shouldn't hurt nobody's feelings to verify the information. Anything that I said on this podcast, go verify it. You can Google it. I don't speak an opinion a lot. So I would say, be fact based.
Nah, man. Measure twice, cut once.
Yeah.
Trust but verify. Man.
Yeah.
It's 2 terms I live by. You know, so man, I definitely want to thank you for coming on the show. This was very informative. You know, I learned a lot today. I hope everybody else learns a lot, and y'all make sure you guys get Rick. Where can they find you at?
DC Rick on Instagram, Ricky Gomes on Facebook. I have a website for my book, foreverdocumented.com. You can order it from there. We ship it the same day. And DC Rick on Twitter, and I'm very accessible. I'm not hard to get to.
All right, y'all, man. That's a wrap, man. Make sure you guys like, subscribe, and share.
And always stay game related.